BTBClub.biz. Welcome to BTB Growth Club Podcast, a weekly podcast for business owners and entrepreneurs with relevant and actionable content to help you close more deals and grow on a personal and professional level. New episodes are published every week. Write to the show to suggest topics and guests to our email, hello@BTBclub.biz. Find us online at BTBclub.biz. Never miss an episode by subscribing to our podcast. And now here is your host Nathan Manzanik.
So we have to cheer up for each other, haven't we? And this week we're going to be talking about networking, why not? How to make it effective, how to make it work for ourselves. Sometimes you do find business owners that seem to be doing really well, even in the middle of these crisis situations that we experience every now and again. We had the financial crisis, now we have the whole COVID-19 thing. And the question is, do you feel like some other people in business are having an easier time in their business than you are? Because sometimes you do wonder, how is it that they are doing it? They seem to be all the time in events and doing stuff. So how does that work, and how can it work for yourself? Well, sometimes it has to do with what you believe about having a perfect business. And sometimes that is outdated or is not tremendously realistic in this day and age. One of the biggest secrets to growing a fantastic business in 2020 is networking. It was reported a few years ago that companies were even listing 70% of their opportunities, and you only found out about those opportunities because you were networking with the right person. So how about we discuss a few tips that can help us to step up in our networking efforts? The first one is finding motivation and mission. People tend to forget that networking is a process, is a strategic process. It's like writing your website or your marketing material. To figure out who you need to know, first you need to determine where you're attempting to go. Who is your target client? This process is called strategic networking. And the alternative is unstructured networking that will never produce great results. It may be a lot of fun though, so that could be that you attend conferences and talks and events and you're enjoying the banter and the drinks, and that's fantastic. If that's what you want to get out of it, that's great. But when you begin to reach out to people to build your network, ask yourself what your mission is in your career, in your business, and what your motive is to build that specific relationship. That to me is the key to come well prepared. And before you do your networking, find that motivation and that mission and be very clear on how you put it out there. The second aspect, I would say, is to embrace your authenticity. And some people believe that extroverts have an easier time networking than introverts do. And that's not true at all. In fact, no research documents prove that, or no research documents prove that belief. Both archetypes, the extroverts and the introverts, have their strengths and their weaknesses. For example, an advantage of introverts is that they make room for dialogue in a conversation. Sometimes extroverts speak too much. Extroverts excel at navigating very large groups of people and very large events, but they tend to talk more than they listen. And that's the issue. In turn, introverts, they can be easily misunderstood because they tend to be more in the background of a social setting. They tend to hide sometimes behind their mobile phones or their friends, or they try not to interact with so many people. So what are you? An introvert, an extrovert, a bit of a mix between those two archetypes? You can put all your characteristics to very good use, so long as you have a genuine interest in learning about other people. I can tell you a little story about Andy, a friend who started doing networking not so long ago, and he would openly share with you that he's an introvert, and probably he didn't think about himself as being a great networker, but over time he has developed this skill, embracing his personality and having good conversations with people. The third aspect, become memorable. The best way to be memorable is energy. It sounds so simple, right? But energy is one of the most desired traits of any people in business. And what does that look exactly? What does that look like for you when you're having a conversation with someone? What is enough energy? What is good energy? What is bad energy? The idea, instead of making an effort or what do you say or being extremely clever about what you say, remember that good energy derives from passion, and that is infectious. Once you're able to communicate with people that you have an authentic passion for what you do, without speaking so much that you are not allowing other people to express themselves, that really helps. Some people have this 70-30 rule. I personally like it. That 70-30 rule will allow you to succeed because it means that you're going to be 70% of your time talking to other people about professional stuff and specifically trying to focus on themselves, and 30% of your time sharing yourself and also including something personal. So if you stick to this rule, you're never going to speak too much or too much on the business side. 70% the other person talks, we talk about the other person. And 70%, not only you talk about the other person, but you talk about personal stuff as well as professional. So how does that sound? And what is the right balance for you to be memorable and not to be too heavy speaking only about business when you're networking? Let's discuss another tip. Make it easy for you. Have a process. And many people have joined business and working clubs like BTB Club, for example, to make themselves, to make it easier for themselves, really. So as you build your relationships, you can categorize those relationships and you can work when you join a good networking group with people that have relationships in different industries and in different settings. That's a fantastic way to do it. So you don't have to struggle to find those connections. But it's not just about finding the right connections. It's also being smarter in the way you select connectors. So if you do belong to BTB Club or any other business or working group, what are you doing to segment your contacts? To grow the kind of connections that already work with your target clients. So let's say, for example, you're an architect and you're looking for people that can connect you with clients or possible clients. One of the ways that you could use would be to engage in conversations with interior designers, or could be to engage in conversation with builders, or with people that offer services to people that are refurbishing their homes or thinking about refurbishing their homes, and hopefully before they start doing it. So work smarter by having a good target as a connector, and also by talking to your referral sources, to your connectors, about what is exactly that you are looking for. So be open with fellow networkers, with people you know, and let them know how they can help you. So we've seen a few tips, a few ideas that we can share. One, find motivation and mission and be very clear in the way you communicate it. The second, embrace your authentic personality. If you're an introvert, fantastic. If you're an extrovert, fantastic too. Just adjust as needed, because that adjustment is going to help the other person to feel okay, to engage with you on a good level. Another tip is to become memorable, to make sure that you are not only talking about business, that you have a good energy level that helps the person to remember you for the good reasons. And lastly, work smarter and not harder. Make it easy for yourself to identify your connectors and work with those. And this is everything for this week. See you next week of BTB Growth Club.